Welcome to the FrequentSEE Network. Frequent, capital S, capital E, self-empowering experts giving you a self-empowering experience, sharing authentic connections about sound, light, energy, frequency, vibration, and most of all, love. There is nothing more authentic than being the love that you are. You are invited to join us in our freaky side of life, where you can change your frequency and upgrade your life. We are 4 generations of women empowering you to love your life even more. Here we flow.
Hey, everybody. Here we are at our FrequentSEE podcast. We always are feeling so great about getting together and sharing in our thoughts and words and feelings. Let's move into what we were talking about is the security about insulin coming into being, having to do with security. So I love us. Hi, Kristen.
Wonderful. Yeah. So this word security, I am just finding as a base of so many other things that, we're talking a little bit about how can we have a conversation civilly and value other people's opinions without it challenging our own. And the word that keeps coming up is just feeling secure and being secure in who we are, in our beliefs, and having the openness to be able to question those as well if a new truth kind of comes in. So that was the thought that came to me, was if I'm looking at something, the security line is one of the foundational pieces to building on top of these pyramids of having greater communication, is the secure aspect of an individual.
And it's just basics of each of us are looking for security. And when in that search, sometimes we come across others that don't have the same opinion that we do. And we might feel that we are less than they, or feel that they have not understood you in the fact that you're out there looking for a roof over your head and food in your belly as a basic, and how you can provide for yourself and your family. And that's, I think, the basic of our being. The other things are just fluff. Getting into the living mode of abundance, of having to have things that really we don't have to have for security.
Yes. I was thinking about security this week, and just I feel like it has to do with confidence too for me. Like when I feel secure, I have confidence.
Belief in yourself and your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last week we talked about belief or believing. To believe is to be alive in. So to be alive within ourselves, to be alive. And one of those things that I've received is be with life and the living. Are you life and the living? Do you live? Do you have spirit that lives and flows through you? Life flowing through you, love flowing through you as you, right? To allow love to experience life through you as you. That's to be alive in, having that experience within life is something that really shows up for me.
Yes. And anytime I think about being alive in something or keeping something alive, I think about a garden. And Bob would talk about this, like weeding your garden of consciousness or unconsciousness, and imagining that each maybe the plant has a root system, and if it's there, it's being alive, it's believed in. And figuring out like what areas we have in our life that create the 80% success for us? Like, what areas are those? Are they the carrots, the onions, the flowers, the whatever, like, in what area do I require confidence? Because there are so many different areas that we could talk about. Belief in just our ability, to be able to do things, which words I feel like would be labeled as I can. This is such a broad topic to talk about. So coming back to Josie, your and Cynthia conversation about how can we have a conversation together without with love, or without feeling triggered by other people's opinions and taking it personal and then getting offended. What area is that? Like, we could go to and talk about what area is that, because there are so many different variations of confidence. And so and security, what would that area be?
And I love you really brought that all together in that scope, that, to focus in like a microscope into that conversation of having conversations where we are not triggered. I recently, here where I live, my friend's father is in town, and one of his buddies are here. And he is a person who really asks a lot of questions. And he was asking some questions about, some things that it wasn't so much that it triggered me, so to speak, but it in order for me to answer that question, I got frustrated with myself. So he felt, like maybe he shouldn't have asked that question. And what it was more about, what I had to say to him is, I said, if you felt a little like anxiety or frustration, I said, it wasn't the question that you asked me. I got frustrated because I couldn't articulate my answer to you in the way that I was choosing to help you understand how I felt about that subject. I wasn't making sense when I was answering, and it frustrated me because I couldn't, that sometimes that auditory verbal stuff, I'm learning how to do it differently and feel comfortable and secure. There we go. And confident in my response. But I found I was triggered by myself being unable to immediately answer that question, instead of sitting with it and being okay and say, hey, I'm going to think about that question. I've never had somebody ask me that. And I'm going to think about that, and let's have a conversation about that later. And I didn't think about that until later, and I came to him and I let him know, because I could tell. And my friend who I live with, she jumped in, when the conversation was kind of going on, because she felt this little angst with me. And so she tried to start a whole new subject. And I just brought out, and I just felt it was important for me to let him know that, again, it wasn't the question that he asked me. It was me trying to, having some insecurity or, the confidence to answer the question so that he knew me better, because that's why he was asking that question. He wanted to know me better. He wanted to understand why I felt the way I felt, or was doing what I was doing, and presenting myself in my world in the way I was. And I was having I was challenged in a way to do that, to where I felt comfortable. And so it was really nice to be able to take a moment and come back the next morning when he and I had a moment together. And I said to him, here's the deal. I want you to know, I didn't, your question, it wasn't about your question, it was about my answer. That I was having some challenges.
Sounds like two things were going on there, maybe more than that. But your vulnerability, which I can imagine made you more understandable to him, and the fact that you recognized that and expressed it to him made you trust no, made him know that you trusted him. And I think also you were maybe expecting an eloquent answer in your mind, and it really didn't have to be. It just needed to be something simple and truthful for him. And sometimes I think think we expect ourselves to be more than people expect of us.
Yes, and thank you for saying that. And what I feel right now is I tend to, when I get into my head to answer, that's when I have a difficult time answering. When I get into my heart and find my truth, it's very simple. And that's the moment I realized that when I get questions, to take that moment and instead try to, how you just would react or, just kind of have this reaction to that question, that it's okay to take a moment and get into out of my head and into my heart. Just take that moment, as I've always said to everybody, is breathe deep into and take that moment to breathe into my heart and love myself even more today than I did yesterday, and love myself so I'm not triggered or giving myself a hard time of how I answer, or even that person, even if that question would have been something that could trigger me. I think I could answer so much easier if I did take that moment to take a breath and bring it to my heart, because my heart answers my truth. And that's where I choose to make it fun and easy, because when I answer from my truth of my, what my heart shares with me and to others, it feels so glorious, right? Yeah.
I think we have a hard time too recognizing our greatness. I mean, it to me, because I was taught never to feel, have that ego. But it's not ego. It's what we were born with, and we have a responsibility to transfer our greatness to others' greatness.
I love that you shared that, Josie, because I was just talking to my husband yesterday and talking about love and how love can be so twisted, especially when a religion can really capitalize on, no, you need to do this and this, you can't have ego, and you need to just love and turn the other cheek and do this. And I really started to think about the word love, as I look at my genealogy. From one side, it's been conditional that I've learned, and the other side has expressed that they could leave at any moment and not be attached at all, and they've never felt love. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like what then is this love? Like in a more spiritual aspect that has been kind of taught to us and told us that you just need to love and whatever. So I went to the Hebrew meaning of it, and the word love comes from AHAV, ahav, which sounds like I have, and it literally translates to have, but in the sense it means to give. So it's that whole cycle of having and then giving. So love means to give. And anyways, your comment sparked that little process of gaining more confidence in what love means to me, and security that I know what love means, and that I can share that with my children in the form of having and knowing that I have, that I always have, and I choose to give.
I love that. And we always hear, I cannot give what I do not have within inside of me already. We can't give love if we're not feeling love or loved. Love or loved.
And back there, a few sentences ago, I don't remember who said it. One of you brought up garden. I think it was you, Kristen, gardening. And
Mhm.
and if I start off my day as if I'm a gardener of souls, it's really easy for me to play that role, not play it, but to be stand up in that role when I'm accounting others. Just this morning, I was resting in the library after I had been walking in the hallway, and one of the residents came up to me, and she is constantly sick and constantly telling you about it, and wears a knitted cap every day because she's losing her hair. And she said to me, Josie, I wonder how you're feeling about the food. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, the quality of it. And then she goes into the dissertation of how bad the quality is. And in my opinion, if we if we stir that pot, it's really going to make our food not agreeable to us. And so I tried to explain to her that if we could accept the food that we have and choose out of it what is best for our bodies, rather than she wanted to, sounded like she wanted to get a group together to march against the fact that we're not getting the adequate food. And I know, since I'm living other places, that this is probably as good as it gets. We have choices every day. We don't have to get what's on the menu for that day. And that's kind of the way it is with life. We have choices. And if we stop and think about what are we going to be able to plant that will reproduce and be nourishing for us and the rest of everyone around us, how can we best take care of this garden? How can we till it and fertilize it and weed it to make it a nourishing uh, existence for all in our garden of life?
Well said. And yes, so beautiful, Josie. Oh, woo. Yes, yes, yes. I'm very happy that this is going out and being received with others who can um, experience, and that's what this is all about. Experience these four generations that we have here of women, and where our hearts are, our wisdom, the wisdom of our souls, as you were gardening, a gardener of the souls. How beautiful what you said, Josie, and so wise and well said. Thank you for those words and bringing that forth for us. Woo!
Thank God,
Lovely.
thank God for bringing it to me.
Oh, wow.
So what I heard you say is to start our day in full intention of walking into our own garden.
Right. And being aware of that, just like with Cynthia and her encounter, had she at that moment realized that she's planting a seed for this bed's richness to enrich his experience, it might have been easier for her to express what she was feeling. But I don't know that. I'm just saying that if we have that in our forethought all the time, we don't become, oh, the word that comes to me, and I know you're not shy, but shy about expressing our opinion or expressing an answer to a question that's put before us. We know that what we're doing is enriching that person we're facing with the richness of our own soul into the soil, SOIL.